Check Podcasts.
Hi, I'm Bruce Williams. I am the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to Chamber Chats, coming to you as always from right here in the podcasting studios of the Czech Media Group, one of our Chamber champions. I'd like to acknowledge, as I begin every time, by saying that I live and work in the land of the Lekwungen-speaking nations, the Songhees and the Kosapsum. And all of this is made possible by Island Savings, a division of First West Credit Union, who are redefining what banking can do for people, for community, and for the world. One of the great community leaders in this region is a very familiar face who shortly we are not going to be seeing as often, I don't think, because he's stepping down from his position. A guy who has been certainly an inspiration to me in the leadership I've undertaken at the Chamber. He is my friend Manak, who is the Chief Constable of VicPD. Chief, how are you?
I'm doing great, Bruce. Thank you for your kind words, and thanks for having me on.
So, you took over as chief in 2016, is that correct?
Yes.
So what was Victoria like in 2016 compared to what Victoria is like today?
Lots of changes.
Yeah.
Lots of good, positive changes. Some not so great, but mostly positive changes. I'm born and raised in Victoria, as many people know, and the city has really changed. The densification, the business community has changed, and the needs of the city and the residents have changed as well. And so I love coming downtown. I come downtown regularly, not just when I work, but also on weekends and nights. The entertainment district, the nightlife, the restaurants, the food, it's just amazing, including the shopping. So yeah, I enjoy my time downtown. I do like that more and more people are living downtown. That's been a significant change since 2016, and many more amenities. And of course, I was out on Canada Day, and just walking around the inner harbor and the city is just so spectacular. And I think a lot of us who live here take it for granted about what a beautiful place Victoria really is.
We hear that from visitors all the time, right? And as you and I were talking about just before we started recording this, Amanda and I have sold our house in View Royal. We are moving into downtown Victoria because for that reason, we feel safe there. We think the culture is amazing. We want to be a part of it. So to people who are saying that downtown is a dangerous and terrible place, I don't agree with you. I don't happen to anyway. But that is a bit of an elephant in the room, Del, that we should probably talk about. The street disorder thing. The pandemic did an awful lot to accelerate that, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, it did. If you just give it some thought, when each of us had to manage who we had as friends, and you had to be in a bubble, and you couldn't go out, and we're talking about vaccines, and did you get Pfizer or Moderna? And even then people were debating like which vaccine was better, like all of these things, which we now look back at, and we didn't know how the virus was spread and how bad it was going to be. And so it was very hard. It was really hard to be isolating from friends, family, loved ones, getting out of our routine. But imagine if you have some anxiety, and maybe you don't have loved ones around you, and if you're living on the street, about how much impact that would have on your mental health. And so lots of decisions were made for all of the best reasons, because we were in a moment at that time. And some of those decisions, I think, are still impacting us today, but we're in a much better place to be able to look back at a time that was.
And a number of the people involved in that turmoil on the streets were people who were being sheltered, but the shelters had to close because of the pandemic regulations. That was a game changer in their lives.
Yeah, they did. And I think what it made us realize was that so many people where there was a single room occupancy, where there's 4 people that were flopping in a place, and instead of like the one person that's registered or the 2 people. And so what ended up happening is once there was more attention given to who was actually staying at many of these supportive housing locations, I think what the answer was that there was a heck of a lot more people than really what were going to be allowed under the rules for the pandemic, just to keep everyone safe. So that then displaced a number of individuals. And of course, there was really no place for them to go other than to go into parks.
Do you have conversations all the time? I know, and you're hosting the other chiefs of police from across Canada here next month. I believe you said that was. But
Yeah.
these kinds of conversations that you and I are having, you have with the other chiefs, right? Like we're not unique here. We're not alone with dealing with this. What do you hear from other chiefs?
Yeah. Similar problems, similar challenges around public safety, street disorder, rampant theft, crime. We talk about the criminal justice system and how there's major changes and improvements that are needed. That criminals need to have consequences. If you are a criminal, a career criminal, a prolific offender, whether it's violent crime or whether it's retail theft, all of this has impacts on community safety and well-being, and there has to be strong deterrences. So, across the country, as chiefs, we talk regularly. Now, do we have local issues? Of course we do, compared to other cities, and depending on the size of the city, the province, and the supports in place. But public safety is a significant challenge across this country. But I want to also say this. I also don't want to just accept the status quo and say, well, we're going to accept what we have here in Victoria because everyone else is having similar challenges, whether it's in Prince George, Kelowna, or other parts of the country. I think that we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can as a community and working together to make sure that we all have safe, vibrant communities.
That whole issue of the repeat offenders is something that we at the Chamber have been advocating for. That's those things where it's different levels of government, right? So that's bail reform
Yeah.
because these people, even there was we're recording this on July the 2nd, by the way, for context. A couple of episodes happened on Yates Street downtown, and within the reporting, it said that the person was arrested, charged, and released on a promise to appear. They're not going to appear. They're not going to do that.
Right.
At the same time, you can't hold on to them.
Yeah, those are some of the challenges, and also in many cases, the incident that happened on Yates Street, London Drugs, this was a stranger on stranger attack, uh, which is very very concerning. But the individual was chased into the London Drugs, and he sought refuge for safety, where people he felt would call 911. But there was an individual running after him with a sword and injured him significantly. Uh, and, uh, and this individual is known to police, has a long criminal record of violent offenses. And so we ask ourselves, why is this individual on the street? And what can the justice system do, or what mental health service and supports can we do to make sure, and whether that's in voluntary care or whether it's helping people be attached to mental health service and supports. But all of these things are really really important to address. And the challenge that we have is in many cases we're seeing the frequency of what happened this past weekend, where the owner of a bike shop is attacked and now he's got a broken wrist and he's just trying to close his store on a Sunday. At the end of June, for somewhat of a long weekend with Canada Day. And so, what can police do? But it's more than the police. What can the health authority be doing? What can social service agencies do? How can the court system better support police and public safety? These are all the questions that we ask ourselves, and we never seem to quite get there. But I do see some momentum, and I do see governments at all levels listening and being wanting to be a part of positive change to keep people safe.
And these repeat prolific offenders, there's not a lot of them, right? But it's this very small number of people doing all of this stuff.
Yeah, there is. I mean, the adage in policing always is, uh, 20% of your criminals are responsible for 80% of your crime. Is it necessarily 20%? No, but you get the idea
Yeah.
that it's a smaller group of individuals that are responsible primarily for a lot of the street disorder and a lot of the crime. So if we can tackle this 20%, and make sure that there's consequences again when they appear before the courts, and we have enough officers to actually keep the community safe and to be able to take positive action, then we're going to be really moving the needle on public safety.
Another element with all this stuff we're going to talk about next is organized crime. Our guest on Chamber Chats today is outgoing. He's an outgoing guy, but he's also outgoing as Chief of Police in Victoria. That's Chief Del Manak. Organized crime is somewhat romanticized by movies and TV shows where they talk about the Sopranos and the Untouchables and all that stuff. Organized crime is a very gritty thing, and it's very present here, isn't it?
It is. Very much so. It's extremely lucrative. There are organized crime groups that operate in and out of the Lower Mainland. There's always uh, turf wars and different groups that are kind of moving in to move their criminal enterprise, whether it's drug trafficking, human trafficking, firearms. Sometimes it's high luxury and vehicles. Wherever there's money to be made, a lot of the money now to be made is through fraudulent. When you look at online crime and using technology, cryptocurrency, and defrauding people. These are all major kind of challenges the police deal with. But right here in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, the police are always looking at who are our criminals, who's moving products in and out, and how can we not only detect it, but deter it and also make arrests where possible.
Criminals seem to have more resources than police have access to sometimes too. But in your time as an officer, and even as your time as chief, the nature of policing has changed. So, what sort of things have happened that have sort of upskilled or made skills more important? What sort of stuff has advanced?
For criminals, Bruce?
Well, for even the work that you guys do,
Right. Well,
policing.
technology. So
Yeah.
technology is huge now. What we see 100% is over the last like 15, 20 years. Every 10-year-old kid now has a phone or access to some sort of a multimedia device. And so there are where there's an opportunity, there's always exploitation that happens and victimization that'll happen. So now most of us live our lives in the real world and in the physical world, but also our footprint on the digital world and online. And so with that, we end up seeing online crime where people's accounts are locked out or there's sextorting going on where an image or picture is shown to somebody that if you don't pay up a certain amount of money, so I would say that there's a significant online component to crime, protests. We see way more protests today than we did even 10 years ago. The geopolitical unrest that happens around the world now impacts policing right here in Victoria. And so that creates further challenges. We saw some of the protests that were happening around the capital city, just even around COVID and around some of the health orders that were coming out. So there's a lot of challenges that we have, and the police are always looking at adjusting our response to crime and making sure that we're able to keep our community safe no matter where that crime is occurring.
Yeah. As I mentioned, we're recording this on July 2nd. Today is the day that Mayor Marianne Alto actually made an announcement about some allocation of resources, which will benefit your work, right? Can you talk about that?
Yes. Extremely grateful, thankful that the City of Victoria has approved permanent funding of 9 additional officers. This is a game changer for VicPD. We have long been advocating for additional police resources as we're strapped thin and asked to do so much. And having 9 officers is going to make a difference. The purpose of these officers will be dedicated to downtown foot patrols, bike patrols, and in some of the areas where we see a lot of criminal activity. And I think it's going to send a message. Is it the end all be all? And am I going to be able to make significant change? Maybe not, but it's a start. And the start really is letting criminals know that they cannot carry out and carry on with their criminal enterprise without the Victoria Police Department making sure that they're held accountable for their actions. So I'm looking forward to hiring the additional officers. In addition, the city's funding $220,000 to match the funding that we got from the provincial government. That's going to help enhance foot patrols, bike patrols, and officers walking the beat. We initiated a program last week. Bruce, I can tell you that from early results, because we've only implemented a week ago, are the business owners and the customers and people that frequent downtown are so thankful to see the police downtown, and they feel safe when the officers are walking the beat and providing a visible police presence downtown.
Yeah, there was a bit of a disruption at the Downtown Victoria Business Association AGM. You were on a panel with Robert Jall and the mayor,
Yeah.
and it kind of went sideways in a way. If you check on go to the Czech News website and look for the story, there's some stuff that's posted there. But people, to some extent, rather, have just become fed up with a lot of this stuff. So that's why these resources being directed to you guys now is going to make a huge difference.
I applaud the city. I think the city listened. I think our business owners are fed up. They feel that their voice has gone unheard, and I think it all kind of came together in a very vocal way. And I applaud the mayor and council for listening and for taking key, concrete, actionable steps to enact parts of the community safety well-being plan. I think that are going to make a significant difference. So great job by the city, but it's unfortunate we're at the place where that we're in. But the only way to get out of it is to dedicate resources, funding, time, effort, and work collaboratively.
It's not all bad news. We want to talk about some good stuff too, and we're going to do that next. Our guest on Chamber Chats today is Victoria Police Chief Constable Del Manak, who's stepping down at the end of August after a long and illustrious career. You do something called the Civic Service Awards. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So what we do is what we recognize is that the Victoria Police cannot be everywhere at any point to help keep our community safe. We rely on citizens to step up, whether they're phoning 911, whether they're intervening to break up an assault, or they're administering emergency first aid in a case where somebody's badly injured. So what we do is we started this award a number of years ago now. And so when we see citizens stepping up, going beyond the call of duty of what normally we would expect from as citizens, we acknowledge that. And we give them this plaque, and we've got their name on our Hall of Honor. And we celebrate that the fact that they're helping the police keep communities safe. And it's been very well received. And I can tell you, in speaking to past recipients, they proudly put the plaque up in a prominent place in their house, and they're happy to have stepped up in a time when they were needed. And it's certainly appreciated by the VicPD.
And you're out and around in the public all the time and doing stuff with kids and all that sort of thing. Tell me this, what's been the best thing about being the chief constable?
Making a difference. I'm born and raised in Victoria. I've taken a sense of ownership of being the chief. I never joined the VicPD to be the chief. I just joined to make a difference. I joined to help people. I've always stayed grounded, always support our community. I've always been honest with our community. But the fact that I'm able to have made such a difference and be as engaged as I've been able to be with many, many people, I think it's been very rewarding. I'm extremely, extremely grateful that I've had this opportunity. It's been a heck of a ride.
Yeah, well, we've enjoyed working with you, that's for sure. You have accomplished a lot, and thank you for that. So, Fiona Wilson is now the incoming chief. You're going to do a crossover period with her. What kind of advice do you have for her?
Uh, I don't have any advice for her. I don't think she needs advice. She's an accomplished police leader that's coming in from Vancouver. She serves as a deputy chief there. There'll be local contacts. I'm overlapping with her for a couple weeks, as you mentioned. And so it's just going to be more introducing her to some of the community contacts. But she's smart, she's engaged, she's got a strong work ethic, and she's action oriented. And I think that she'll be able to pick things up very quickly as what the key issues are here at VicPD, and she'll be able to move the department forward and build upon some of the successes that I've had. So the department's in good hands, and our community's in good hands.
I've said a lot of times when I'm asked questions about this, how do you determine your leadership style? What guidelines do you follow? The answer I give is, well, I've worked for and with some really great managers, but I have also worked for and with some really bad ones. So you learn from the bad ones and you pay attention to what the good ones do. Who are some of the mentors in your life that brought you to have this skill level?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, my parents, 100%. My wife, family have probably been the strongest influence. Growing up in a South Asian household, just having a strong work ethic, commitment to duty, service, and giving back has really helped me. And I agree with you, Bruce, that sometimes we learn more from our mistakes or more from bad leaders than we do from good leaders. But it's a journey. I've got no regrets. People ask you sometimes, "Oh, would you do anything different if you had to do it all over again?" And the answer that I have is, yeah, of course I would, because I learned from different mistakes or different things that I've done. But I'm grateful for where I've landed, and I think we're at a much better place around public trust and public confidence in the Victoria Police Department. I've been extremely engaged, and I've done the best job that I could, but I certainly put the time and effort in. And the key important piece for me is the officers and our staff that are doing the heavy lifting. I'm not working shift work anymore. I'm not the ones out there responding to the calls that we talked about earlier, but they're doing that. And they're doing that with little information, and they're doing an amazing job, many times at their own personal expense, and they're committed. And so it's just been such an honor to work with individuals that are that committed to their duty and put the lives and the safety of others ahead of their own personal safety.
Yeah. So what's next for you? What are you going to do now?
First off, I'm going to reintroduce myself to my wife. I don't see her very much, work long hours and whatnot. But we're going to take a family holiday. I'm not committed to too much. I do want to work when I get back after our holiday, but I haven't really given it much thought. If I ask my daughter, she wants me to join the security detail for Taylor Swift. That's what she would want me to do. If I was following my passion and dream, I'd like to be an assistant coach with the New York Islanders hockey club.
Yep.
But I don't think either one of those things is going to come to fruition. I'll tell you, it's been a heck of a ride, and I've given it my heart and soul. I really have, and I know my family of all people kind of know that I've done that. I think after 35 years. It's time for someone else to kind of take the reins, and it's been just an amazing career. And again, I got no regrets, but I'm looking forward to doing something at my pace of something that I enjoy. Maybe not as quite in the limelight as I've been as a chief at VicPD.
Yeah, well, you've worn that limelight very well, and you've represented the department very well. And I guess the final question is, who's going to have a better season, the Islanders or the Red Wings?
Well, you know where I'm going to go with that.
I do, yes.
Go Islanders. First overall pick. Matt Barzal's going to be back injury-free. We got Bo Horvat from the Canucks, as many Canuck fans know. I'm looking forward to a strong season, although I think they're going to be in kind of rebuilding mode, be honest with you. I don't know how you can bet against the Florida Panthers after they signed all of their players pretty much back to the team that's won the Stanley Cup the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Del Manak, Chief of the Police in Victoria Police Department. And I'm Bruce Williams. I'll see you again for another Chamber Chat.